Good afternoon, everyone. It's Michelle Hill with Southern Inspirations and the Maumelle Area Chamber of Commerce. Happy Thursday. I'm very pleased this afternoon to continue to bring information from a wonderful Maumelle Chamber member that is relevant and are things that you are going to want to know as it applies to the job market. So please help me welcome my guests, ReNae Patterson and Tracie Flynn. Good afternoon, ladies.
Good afternoon.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Okay, good. Doing good. So everyone, Tracie and ReNae are with Manpower, and they bring a combined 37 years of industry experience in staffing. Isn't that right, ladies? You've been doing this a long time.
We have. We certainly have.
We started when we were 10.
That's right.
keeping you young, right? You both have so much knowledge and experience in the industry, professionally speaking. I know you're both a part of the Central Arkansas Human Resource Association. And in addition to the industry knowledge and expertise that you bring, you are also key players in the community. Both of you are board members on Chambers, ReNae, North Little Rock, and Tracie, Maumelle. And you're very active and play such a vital role. Would each of you just introduce yourself? And ReNae, we'll start with you. Tell us a little bit more about your background and perhaps what led you to the staffing industry and anything you'd like to share personally as well.
Sure. So I am ReNae Patterson, and I am the market principal of Manpower here in Central Arkansas. I have been with Manpower for 17 years. During my time at Manpower, I've been a business development manager, a branch manager, a regional director, and now a market principal here in my home area, which is Central Arkansas. I'm a native Arkansan. I graduated from Sylvan Hills High School long ago. And I enjoy my community. I'm very plugged in the community and just want to help Central Arkansas grow. I have been in the industry for 27 years. I spent 10 years before Manpower with a couple of other agencies in the Central Arkansas area. And I love staffing. I love helping people. When I decided to determine what career path I was going to take, I got into recruiting and I just loved it. I felt like being able to help people level up and find a meaningful career was so impactful. And so just love working with people. And that's what led me to what I do today, and just very honored to be here today. Thanks.
ReNae, thank you so much. I can see your heart just coming out even as you were talking about it and helping people find their jobs and their careers. And I would imagine that with 27 years of experience, you have heard quite a few stories, haven't you?
I certainly have.
Tracie, what about you? What is your history?
Well, I started with Manpower about 5 years ago. Before that, I kind of felt like I've had 3 different types of industry experiences and careers. I was in the financial aid area for almost 10 years with Black River Technical College in Pocahontas, where I'm from, and then went into pharmaceutical sales for about 10 years. And when that industry started downsizing, and I accidentally kind of got into staffing and found that I loved it. Kind of went along with financial aid. You help people find money and funding to go to college. Pharmaceutical sales, you're helping patients be able to get the type of medicines that they need to stay well and healthy. And then in recruiting, you are helping, job seekers out there go find, fulfilling careers, whether it be that they're new to the workforce, or they've moved into the area, or they're switching industries. It's just an extremely fulfilling career option because, ReNae, I think you can attest to that nothing's better than when you have an associate come back to you, after they've went temp to perm or they've converted to a client site, and they're like, so thank you so much. Our family has done this and that, and it's just very fulfilling.
Tracie, I love that you've had experience in varying industries. And as you were explaining it, I was thinking about how all those different experiences and knowledge that you bring to the table are so applicable to the variety of people that walk through the doors of Manpower. and you're able to share that and bring all that to the table. I think that's just wonderful. Ladies, you're quite the team.
Yes, we are.
Oh, I like that. Well, thank you both for giving us a little bit more about your background. So today, the title of our show is How Are You Showing Up? And we're going to take a look at the best practices for job hunting. And as we were discussing before the show, the things that we're going to discuss today are important always in a COVID-19 or environment or not. When we are looking for a job opportunity or making a career change, or maybe we're just looking to position ourselves to be promoted or to be chosen for some role on an important board. There's some tips that you ladies are going to share with us today, from interviewing to how you're showing up online to resume. And so I'm very excited. So to kick us off, let's talk about the current state that we're in, because I know that people are curious to know what the job market is like. Tracie, what are you seeing right now as it relates to the market, and has there been an increase? I know that there's so many people unemployed. What is that from your perspective as the staffing industry?
Well, while we have seen so many industries decrease, we have seen a large number of our industry and clients increase during this time. Anything in the medical industry, we have several clients who produce medical products. They have increased, where we've also seen like some of the hospitals decrease in their services because they don't have the census with the general public coming in. So that has been a kind of a neat thing for us to see, where some industries decrease, increase, and we are taking those candidates and associates of ours who have had those skill sets in different positions and give them transferable work skills that they think they weren't able to transfer into a different industry. And I think that's something that we've worked really hard for those associates who want to keep working, take those skill sets that they have and transfer those into another industry. Because they may think that they don't have those skill sets to work in that different field, but they do. And I think it's just helping them get grounded, think about it for a minute, get their head straight that yes, they can, and they have the skill set and experience to give and help, find them a different career path at this time.
To me, that brings hope, because in moments like these, if you do find yourself in unemployment, I think the mind automatically probably goes to fear and anxiety. And so for you to be able to have those discussions with your candidates and potential employees of organizations, you're able to bring those skills out, and you've got the jobs to help identify that might closely match up with those skills. ReNae, how are you seeing people, to use the word showing up, we're in a different environment. You're not having people as would traditionally be walking through the door to shake your hand and sit down and have that initial conversation. I know that you guys probably do a screening before you send them out to potential employers. What is it like right now from the interviewing perspective, and how are people even going through the process?
Well, we're doing everything virtual pretty much. And so we're doing a lot of research and reach out on social media. We're doing we have some technology at Manpower that allows us to cast a very wide net and reach people by text, by email, different things such as that manner. And then we have them coming to us. We're using some software called Microsoft Teams, and we're setting up virtual interviews that way. So we're still doing our interviews. We're still doing our reach out, but we're just doing it through a virtual manner. I don't know if you guys have seen us on Facebook at all doing many virtual job fairs. So it is exactly like showing up to an in-person job fair. The only difference is they're in your virtual lobby instead of in your in-person lobby. And we have recruiters standing by, ready to talk to our candidates immediately when we do those types of things. And so we have particularly jobs, as Tracie mentioned, that we're showcasing. And we are taking individuals maybe that don't have that specific experience, but we're showing them their transferable skills, and then we're helping showcase that to the client so that we're able to get these people placed into positions and redeployed, if you will, into other careers.
Yeah. Good. I'm glad to hear that, because again, I just think of the word hope, and I know that so many people are completely changing what they're doing, and perhaps even learning a few new skills, and brushing off the old ones, maybe transferring some old ones, but maybe even learning some new ones too. So what else in terms of, and this would be, again, applicable to any environment, pandemic or otherwise, just everyday best practices when looking for a job or preparing to present oneself to the job market? What are some things that we should all be aware of? Tracie, give us a couple.
Well, I think ReNae and I can kind of tag team on this one. You immediately want to start looking at your resume first. Get your information of all your past work history, your skill set, your certifications, if there's any education, your degree. Make sure you have that listed on your resume, and make sure it's a professional one. I think they can always Google different resume formats and come up with a plethora of options there, and utilize those, and make sure that it does look professional. I think that's the first thing, because that's your first impression to any employer, including us as Manpower, when we see that. So we want everyone to know that it doesn't have to be a fancy smancy, 3 or 4 pages. We want it to really be condensed down into 1 page, if at all possible, and 2 max. ReNae, I think you've got some other things you want to add with that.
Yeah, and I would also say prepare ahead of time. So, I would say give yourself a Google search. Your potential employer is going to do that. Look at your social media. If you don't have maybe the funds or the means to do a professional headshot, that's okay. Get a friend or a mentor to take something that looks professional of you, put it online for particularly your LinkedIn. Beef up your LinkedIn. Really look at your online presence. How do you appear online? Do some work like that ahead of time before you go into the interview, before you send that resume in, because a lot of times an employer the first thing they do is they may do a Google before they call you. They may look at your social media. They may try to connect with you on LinkedIn, before they even have a conversation with you. So I definitely think it's important to look at your online presence and what your social media says about you.
I think that brings up such a good point right now, because if we weren't on social media a whole lot before, and we know we all were, we are definitely all on social media now. And particularly with the increase in streaming applications, not unlike the one that we are on today, there are many more. I would not even begin to guess the number of increased Zoom uses. This platform is called StreamYard. There are several out there. And how we show up and conduct ourselves now online matters. It's always mattered, but it matters now more than ever. And I love your suggestion of giving yourself a Google search, because you're exactly right. As potential employers are looking at potential employees across LinkedIn and Facebook, and to see how they're showing up, they also want to see what's being said out there in that search engine. So, another one of my favorites is to prepare ahead of time and to really think about all of those things. Don't wait till the day before to start seeing, and really it's a day-to-day decision. It's how am I showing up today, because that's going to affect me down the road, next week or next month, or whenever the time comes that I'm sitting across from someone having a conversation about being a potential employee of theirs.
Mm-hmm.
One other thing that I would mention, you bring up a good point, when you talk about preparing ahead of time, even in your current position, make sure that you're really doing your absolute best. putting your best foot forward. It is a lot easier to get a new opportunity if you are still in a position or an opportunity, even if it isn't the job that you want for your lifetime. So do a really, really good job in every single aspect of your work life. And then, set some goals for yourself, and take those goals and do a little bit of work on those every single day, and you'll get where you want to be. Tracie, did you have something you wanted to add to that as well?
Kind of just to piggyback on the social media, I think it's a good time for everyone to, if you think, even if you're not in the job search at this time, go into your privacy settings and see, if other people can tag you, if other people can share your pictures. We've had so many instances where people did not have those set for privacy, and people and their friends were just tagging them, and there was some inappropriate content. So when future employers or we Google them, we see inappropriate activity on there, and they were like, "Oh, well, I didn't do that. I didn't tag that," but they were tagged in the picture or the comment or the location they might have been in. And that can get somebody in a lot of trouble sometimes. So that's, very mindful to make sure that you've checked your privacy settings, that, you control your social media so that no one can tag you, add pictures of you or your locations where you're at. It's just very important to make sure that you're in control of your social media.
That's some fabulous advice. And I think sometimes with social media, we can be guilty of setting it up when we first establish those accounts and doing those settings that are good for that moment in time, but then life happens and we could forget. So I think it's a good practice every few months, even just as it's also wise to change our password from time to time. It's probably good to take a look at those settings. And let's face it, there may be a time in our lives when it's more appropriate and we can be more lax on being tagged or whatnot. But then there's certainly those times where we need to have more control as that account owner. So very good point. What else, ladies? Is there anything else? What about when we show up, whether that's virtually or in person? I always say, dress, you want to always be, obviously you want to be professional, but dress to fit the position that you're going after, or maybe even the one above it. I want to dress for the one above it. In other words, don't show up looking all frumpy and, whatever. What are some best practices with, you would think that it would be common sense on some of these things, but I don't know, particularly if people are changing industries, they might not know, the proper way to show up.
Well, I would definitely say you want to dress to impress, right? So you want to look your best. You want to be neat, clean, well-groomed. If you're going to an interview for a job in the healthcare industry, and everybody is going to wear scrubs, maybe you do wear scrubs. That would potentially be applicable. But do a little bit of research ahead of time so that you do show up in an appropriate manner. As Tracie mentioned, get some help on your resume. Make sure your resume looks good and you have a nice copy of that with you to bring to your potential employer. Be prepared to talk about everything. Be prepared to maybe even talk in a panel interview, because you could walk in thinking that you're going to be one-on-one and there could be 5 people sitting there. And if that makes you nervous, maybe do a little prep ahead of time. Get a friend or a mentor to role play with you and have them ask you some hard questions so that you can just think on the top of your head and spurt out the answers. And then, of course, and I'm sure Tracie has some things to add too, but, I do want to say always be honest, because they could ask you some hard questions, and you just make sure that you're always honest, because when you leave, that person that you've interviewed with, they're going to double check everything that you've told them. So it's a lot easier to be honest than it is to clean something up that maybe you weren't honest about.
Right. Good chance they're going to find out. I would think too, being prepared to ask them some questions. I like to think that if I'm looking to go work for a potential organization, I'm interviewing them as much as they're interviewing me. Is this atmosphere, is this environment, is this culture one that aligns with my values and my ethic and my goals that I've set? Anything to say to that, Tracie?
I think when people need to be prepared to do a virtual interview, maybe you need to make sure your technology is working. Make sure that you are dressed appropriate for the interview. Obviously, nobody knows if we have shorts on or dress pants right now or pajama pants, but make sure where your camera is viewing you that you look appropriate and professional, and your environment around you is as well. Make sure you're not outside with kids running around in the background or different things that people might be doing that they don't think about when they're doing a virtual interview, that we are seeing you on, online live, and whatever you're
Right.
doing, we see you see us. So we've had lots of interesting interviews over the last month.
Oh, I bet.
We thought we had seen it all, and we've definitely got our eyes opened a little bit more. But take a look around your room or wherever you're going to do that.
Right.
Some people are doing them from their cars and their phones, and that's perfectly fine too. Just make sure the radio's down and nobody's going to come banging on your car window while you're trying to interview.
Yeah. Those things can just be so distracting, and that is the candidate's moment to shine. That is the impression that will be left. And so the fewer distractions, the better, because I'm here to show you, I'm bringing my best game. And I don't need all these distractions getting in my way, right? And so even though so many things are out of our control right now, back to your point earlier, there's still plenty of things that are in our control.
Good point.
Yeah,
what you said about about the show up and asking them questions, that shows them that you're very interested in their company, that you've researched them. How long have they been in business? What are they about?
Right.
What type of philanthropies are they involved in? Do they do anything locally with different charities or organizations? The other things besides just your typical work day, because again, you want to be proud of the company and the organization that you're working for.
Right. And what about follow-up? I'm a big note writer. I'm still a big thank you note writer, but I think follow-up is still important. Maybe not with a note, but what do you advise your candidates to do with follow-up?
We do want, follow-up is important. A handwritten card or something like that is always nice, but at least an email,
Something.
Something following up, letting that person know that you appreciate their time.
Right. Yeah. Important. Well, ladies, anything else specific? I do want you to share a little bit about where Manpower is, what your current situation is with your hours. I've got your phone number populated that I can pop up. I want people to know how to get in touch with you after. Before we do that, is there any other tips or anything that we've missed that you would like to share?
One other thing, I think we may have touched on it just a tad, but I know Tracie and I both wanted to talk just a little bit about some of Manpower's education opportunities that we have available. Particularly, we offer that all of the time for our associates and our candidates, but right now we've even opened it up to people that aren't currently working with Manpower. So there's some additional opportunity for you to get some free courses. These are courses that help you level up, get additional skills to help you put you on a different, maybe a little bit of a new career path. Maybe if you are a warehouse attendant now, you can get some leadership experience, things like that. So if you would like information, you can definitely get in touch with your local Manpower office, whether you're seeing us in Arkansas right now or you're in a different state. We're represented in all 50, and we all have that same option available. Go to manpower.com. You can also here in Central Arkansas, go to our Facebook page, and we have lots of information there for you about our additional training. Tracie, did I miss anything with that?
No, you covered that very well. We are open. We are not allowing the foot traffic in the office right now because we can do everything virtually. We are preparing for opening back up. We don't know what that will look like yet, but we're still in the preparation of that. But since we can, talk to you, we can do video chats with you, video interviews. They can text our office number as well as call it. And 501-771-2806 is our office number. And again, you can call or text that. And then our website, manpower.com, is where they will go to make the initial application. They'll click the little tab that says sign up and complete a profile. We do like them to follow up with us with a text after that. So no matter where we are, we can quickly go into our system and pull their information up and then schedule their interview.
You have given all the different ways to make it really streamlined and easy for someone who is looking for employment or educational opportunities to be able to sign up and contact you and all those things. So I think that is wonderful. This has been great. Such fabulous information. Again, I'm just so excited for just what is right here in our community with your combined experience. And Manpower is such a great organization. You've both been there a long time. And again, I thank you so much for your time and your willingness just to share about the industry, to share these wonderful tips. Any closing thoughts before we end it?
Thank you for hosting us today. I appreciate that. And I know that the public will appreciate that as well.
You're very welcome. Well, everyone, that is it. Thank you again for watching. Please do like this and share it out. We want to get the word out to as many people as we can. Be sure to like the Manpower Facebook page and follow these ladies. Thank you again for your support of Southern Inspirations as I continue to share good stories about good people doing good things. If you know of a story in the nonprofit or the for-profit sector, I'm always open to exploring new stories to share. So with that, we will close it out, and y'all have a wonderful afternoon, and I'll see you again soon. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.